कहते हैं अगर किसी चीज को दिल से चाहो तो सारी कायनात उसे तुमसे मिलाने की कोशिश में लग जाती है. Hello and welcome everyone to another episode of 31st July with Deepika. I'm Abhishek
Mm.
and today we have with us Vikra Vardhan, a friend that I've got to know recently, and I'm so glad he's agreed to do this. So Vikra, why don't you take the chance and introduce yourself to all the listeners?
Hello everyone. Thanks for having me here, Abhishek. And how do I introduce? I do a bunch of things, so this question always confuses me. Like, where do I start? So to keep it very simple, I'm a writer. So I write emails and newsletters for D2C brands. That's what I do for a living. That's what I get most of my money from. And I also create content. I run a couple of newsletters. I create content on social media, and I'm also trying to teach the same to my students. This is there are a few upcoming projects coming where I'm going to pick up a few creators and help them start and scale their newsletters and all that stuff. So mostly you could call me a kind of a newsletter guy if you want to just look at me through the lens of work. And also that's about the work side, right? That's what I do for work. I write newsletters for clients, I write emails for clients, I do the same for my own content. And yeah, so that is about me in terms of work. And personally, on a lighter note, since this is about Deepika, then since this is about films and stuff, uh, I would say I'm a big movie buff. I do watch a lot of Bollywood and a lot of South Indian films. I've recently realized that I haven't watched a lot of foreign language films, so I'm kind of getting into that also, where I'm asking people for recommendations and I'm watching a lot of them also. So I'm a big movie buff. Like whenever I get time, I do watch. It's like almost watch like one movie in 2 days, where it's like whenever I'm eating in those 30-40 intervals, it's like I finish one movie in 1 to 2 days. So yeah, apart from that, I do play sports. I used to be a professional cricketer before I got into all this, and now I continue to play for fun. Along with that, I like normal sports like swimming, badminton, and all that stuff. I do those things as well. I like to travel. I like to watch cringe memes and cringe YouTube videos for fun.
And something that I would like to add for the listeners. So Vikra has his own personal website on which his about me section is pretty cool. I have read a lot of about me sections on people's personal websites, but the one on Vikra's website is pretty unique. He just starts writing and he's like, oh, wait a minute, you can find about this me online anywhere. So let me tell you some different things. It's pretty cool. So if anyone is interested to check out, I think Vikra, I'll let you mention that website if you can sort of spell it out or just tell the name of it.
So it's dopecontent.in, DOPE content.in. So it's like a content hub for everything I do. So I've mentioned that I do newsletters, right? So I have a business newsletter where I talk about case studies of my work, or I break down the work of different brands and I redo them. So my website is like a content hub for all these places. And apart from that, I am building my own digital products. I'm building my own cohort, all these things, right? So I needed just one place where everybody can figure out what's it about. So that is where you can find it. It's dopecontent.in, and it's very plain text website right now. We are building one and it will be ready by December 20th. That's a tentative date right now. We are building like a full-fledged aesthetic looking website. So yeah, if you want to just check out what's happening in it, just go to dopecontent.in and you'll find everything.
But yeah, I think let's get into the topic of the podcast, which is all about Deepika, all about the relationship between you and Deepika as a fan and as a movie star. Let's start with since which year have you been a fan of Deepika? How did that
Yeah.
moment arrive where you were like, okay, wait a second, this actress is special. I think I like her a lot.
Right. It's a funny story where you like someone for their spookiness, right? So I watched Om Shanti Om. I don't think I watched it in the theater. I watched it in the TV when, like, after the release, the first time they played it on TV. I remember I was sitting with my cousins, and so I was 9 or 10 years old. I was sitting down with my cousins, and they were all excited because at that time I didn't watch a lot of Hindi films. It's like every Friday, 2 to 3 films get released. All like if my dad, like my parents don't understand Hindi, right? So if they have to take to a movie, they take me to a Telugu movie. And on the other hand, my cousins were into Bollywood at that time. And I was just staying over at their place, and they were all excited that, Om Shanti Om is coming on television for the first time. That was also the first time I had pizza. They were like, they ordered a pizza. I was like, I don't know what it is. Like, my cousins were asking, like, do you want to have a pizza? And I was like, I don't know what a pizza is. And then he was like, okay, no problem, one cheese burst pizza, please. So I remember the cheese burst pizza, as well. Like that's the first pizza I had. So yeah, coming back to the movie. So all of us sat down, watched the movie, and that is not only the film. Om Shanti Om is not only the film where I became a fan of Deepika, but I also became a fan of Shah Rukh. And that's the first time I'm watching Shah Rukh also. So it's like I'm watching their film. I like this entire film. I like both the actors, and it was really crazy. It was really crazy, and that final part where Deepika, it's like the previous life ka Deepika comes in, right? In the climax,
Yeah,
if you remember, that is like the most craziest, badass, spookiest scene. In more or less, it's a romance film, right? You don't expect, but it was always like Shah Rukh Khan was driving the narrative where he was telling that they're trying to set up a ghostly atmosphere where an Atma is hunting and all these people and all that stuff, right?
true.
So yeah, that scene, I was like, I got chills. I was like, wow, this is a scene. Like, if at all I'd rewatch Om Shanti Om any day, I'd watch only two scenes for sure. One is Shah Rukh Khan's speech, and two is this Deepika's entry in the climax. These two things are my absolute favorites from Om Shanti Om. Apart from the song, of course. What was the song I forgot where all the heroines and all the actors coming?
It's Om Shanti Om. All hot
Oh
girls.
yeah, yeah.
That
Oh
one.
yeah. That one. Yes. So I like that song as well. So it was the first time I'm looking at all the actors together, right? And
Yeah,
this was not when the movie when I saw the movie. It was a few years after the movie when I got to know all these actors, and then I was surprised to see like all the stars in one song.
yeah.
Yeah. So that was the first film I saw of Deepika. It was her debut, and I had no idea who Deepika is. I had no idea who Shah Rukh is at that point, and I totally love that film. And after that, I was like, whatever happens, I'm going to watch. Like, if there is a Deepika poster on Deepika's picture on a poster, I definitely watch it. So it has become, what do you say, that level of fandom at that point. And I think she's one of the first heroines I liked. As in, you always have crushes on heroines, and they keep changing, right? So Deepika was one heroine. I would say, like one actress. I would say for the longest time. Like if you contact anybody from my school right now, and if you ask them, which actress is Vikra's crush, like 9 out of 10 people will say Deepika. So that's how much I used to talk about her in school and all that stuff.
That's so
So and,
special, man.
and, I used to also share some memes. Memes weren't like meme cool during that time. This was during like 2013, 14, a few years after I saw Om Shanti Om. And this was on Facebook. So on Facebook, I used to send memes to my friends and all that stuff. All that stuff I used to do. So
So the
yeah,
memes were related to Deepika Padukone or her movies.
uh, Deepika's movies, some jokes around the dialogue sometimes,
Ah,
something like that.
okay, okay. Very, very special story though. I like the connection between the movie and first
Yeah.
time watching Deepika, first time watching Shah Rukh, and first time having pizza as well. What a nice combination. You don't get to hear that often.
I came back home and I asked, like, I remembered that exact term, cheeseburger pizza, and I came to my dad. I think the next week I told him that, there's something called cheeseburger pizza. Can you get it for me?
I hope you got a yes.
Yes, he got it.
Awesome.
It wasn't as good, so they ordered it from Domino's. I still remember that it was from Domino's. If I remember it correctly, I think it is from Domino's, and my dad got it from. So my cousins, they live in a more posh part of the city. So at that point, all this were accessible over there. At the place we live, we didn't have all these things. So there was a small bakery which kind of made pizzas, but it wasn't that good.
So this podcast is for my wife, right? And so her favorite pizza is the Domino's cheese burst pizza. If she's having a pizza, she her first preference is, oh, can we get a Domino's cheese burst? If not, then she'll think of the other options. All right. Since we are talking about her movies, which movie of Deepika can you watch again and again and again without ever getting bored of it?
So, how I watch films in general is, I remember moments in the film, like even the films that are like that didn't do well in terms of art or in terms of box office or anything. I rewatch films for a particular scene. I don't rewatch the entire film. Those are like very rare. But when I rewatch something, I rewatch it for, let's say, two to three scenes in that film, which I'll watch over 20 to 30 minutes, and then I'm done. So those moments are like really, really special for me, not like the movie. So one I've already told, the Om Shanti Om climax scene.
Yeah.
What else do we have? Uh, Full movie Ye Jawani Hai Diwani for sure.
Oh, you love that so
Uh,
much.
yeah, I can rewatch it any day.
What's
Uh,
so special about it for you?
I think the amount of waiting period. So what happened? I'll tell you a Ye Jawani Hai Diwani story. So what happened when YJHD was coming was I had my 10th board exams in 2014. And I love the trailer so much. So every day on YouTube, I used to go. I love trailers for some reason. So every day, like I know that I can't go to a movie unless my exams are done. So every day I used to go on YouTube, search for the trailer, look at the trailer, be happy with the trailer, and then just wait for exams to get finished. And it's like there was a lot of struggle and a lot of wait to get to watch that film. And after when I watched it, it was like totally worth it. What's special, if you ask me, I think the entire Deepika's narration is my favorite. Uh,
Hmm.
I think right from the opening scene to the interval, I think Deepika narrates the film, where she's just looking back at her and she starts narrating the story, right? And till Bunny leaves for pursuing some journalism or something like
Yeah.
outside the country. Till then, Deepika will be the one who's narrating it, right? I like that about the film. The overall cast story. I like Balam Pichkari song.
Great
Uh,
song.
yeah, Batamiz Dil mein again I told you I watch it for moments, right? Batamiz Dil, just before Batamiz Dil's song, there is this scene where Deepika को पता होता है कि रणबीर आने वाला है, and she doesn't look back. She just listens to his voice, and she knows that it's him. Like everybody's wondering who is this man, kind of gate crashing the party and just going on his own without any rehearsal, without any what do you say, information, giving any information, showing any face of who he is. Aditya Roy Kapoor, Aditi, and Naina. Aditya was not there in the scene. Aditi was starting to relax because is he really here or not? And that is like subtly showed right in the film, in the frame. But when you look at Deepika, it was very clear that she was very confident that it was Ranbir, and she didn't even look back, right? In fact, it was Ranbir who moves ahead of her and then realizes it was her, and then he looks at her by surprise, right? She smiles over there, and it's like one of my favorite smiles of Deepika, I would say, because it's like there is so much meaning into it, right?
Yep.
I love that. Um,
Till you're thinking of the next thing, I'll just, if you read Vikra's writing, you'll see that he puts a lot of thought into things. He's observant. He likes the details. He likes to notice them. He likes to think about them. He likes to pull them apart, dissect them. And I think that's what he has done just now in the short monologue that he had some while back, a few seconds back, where that one just he just spent about a couple of minutes on one glance and he saw it from different perspectives. I don't know how many people must have spotted that even after watching that movie 10, 15 times to this podcast as well. I'm pretty happy about that.
I can go on about it. Like I love doing it. I love getting into details. I don't remember Cocktail now because I've only watched it once or a couple of times. Tumi Ho Bando is like one of my all-time favorite songs. I just love the energy, and there's another song also from Cocktail that I really love. Daru Desi. Daru Desi is really good, and I think in Cocktail's climax, Deepika realizes that she is not the one for Saif, and those two are meant to be together, and she kind of steps away and let those two be, right? She kind of realizes that, even though she wants to be with Saif, it's it's not really in her hands. It's like you can't clap with one hand, right?
Yeah.
Even though, irrespective of how much she wants that relationship, if Saif is looking forward to someone, and that person is also looking forward to Saif, then there is no point in she trying too hard, right? And it's kind of a sacrifice angle to it, which I liked. So that is one scene. If I remember the scene correctly, if I have interpreted the scene correctly, I think that is also one of my favorite scenes. Another moment is the song from Bajirao Mastani. Yaar. Like she's in
Okay.
this entire gold attire
Yeah,
and
yeah,
she's
yeah.
singing.
Mastani
She's
ho gayi.
wearing very hair.
Mastani ho gayi. That song, right?
Yeah, yeah,
That
that
song is
one.
beautiful.
It
Visually, it's
was.
beautiful. The choreography is great. The set is awesome.
I used to watch a lot of making videos at that time,
Hmm.
making videos behind the scenes and all that stuff. And again, if I remember correctly, it's been a really long time. She was wearing a very heavy lehenga, and again, I don't know a lot about dance, but from what I've heard in that making video, it's like it's really hard to dance with a heavy attire. And she was wearing a very, very, very heavy lehenga over there, and she was like acing the moves and what do you say? She was looking great. Her expressions were on spot and all that stuff. I used to love that song. I still remember like playing a match and that song was humming in my mind. I was really keeping and so we do a lot of casual stuff. Like at that point, when we were children, our coaches used to be like very strict that you shouldn't have kind of fun on field. You should always be kind of focused and all that stuff. As we age, like when we get into like late teens, 18, 19, or even 17 sometimes, you understand that it's not really needed to be that focused. Like you need to be focused for ball to ball and beach where you can just have fun. So it was that phase when I heard that song. I was just humming it, and that was like one beautiful song of Deepika's, and performance was great also. Like it was like completely power packed performance of all the three actors in Bajirao
Yeah.
Mastani. Yeah. Okay, so Bajirao Mastani, I watched it in Hyderabad only probably. I
Hmm.
really like the song. Padmavat I watched in Bangalore. I remember Padmavat watching in Bangalore because there were protests happening around Padmavat, right, during
Yeah.
that time.
Yeah.
So I remember like there is a huge bunch of crowd just outside the theater and we went in. Ram Leela is another film where I liked her performance. Nagada Sanga's song is like
Epic.
crazy energy. Again, that used to be like one of the like you listen to a song and you keep listening to it until you get bored of it, right? And then again, after some time, it kind of becomes a top 2% of your playlist song where it's always there. Like whenever it plays, you listen to it, right? I really love this high energy songs. And speaking of high energy songs, there is this very beautiful song from Pico that is completely opposite to high energy song. It's called the Journey song,
Yeah.
and it's one of the most beautiful, most soft in terms of music, in terms of lyrics, in terms of the video in the song. Also, I love Irfan Khan, so it's like having those two in that film. I think another one is Karthik calling Karthik. Amazing film, first of all. Farhan Akhtar flirts with Deepika. That is also one of my favorite scenes where she asks, you don't drink. And he says something like, if I am drunk, then nashe mein hone ka fayda, will you take it or not, right? It's something like, will you take advantage of me if I'm drunk? And she says no. Then he was like, oh, then what's the point in drinking? Kind of. So that's also like, I think I made it, I translated it horribly, but I think the actual scene is really good, along with the music and all that stuff. That is also like one of the cute scenes. Chennai Express is something I'd rewatch any day. I'm not really, I wouldn't say I'm not really into like commercial out and out comedy kind of films, but I love Chennai Express for some reason. It has been entertaining. I was in my native village, which is like 250 kilometers from Hyderabad. And there is another, now it is kind of city, it's a place called Karimnagar, which is, so government has started this smart city things now,
Hmm.
where they're like tier one cities like Hyderabad, Pune, Mumbai, Bangalore, Delhi, Calcutta, all these things, right? So there are like smart cities which is like within the state only, which are like a developing state, which has this developing status kind of stuff. So there is a place called Karimnagar. It's a smart city near our village. So I was so looking forward to Chennai Express at that time. I remember. So it was a film that was starring both Shah Rukh Khan and Deepika Padukone. And based on my Om Shanti Om story, you already know like how special uh, that casting is for me, right? Entire film, I'd rewatch it any day. I think Deepika is the role. Her dialogue delivery, comic timing. Actors keep saying it, right? You know, comedy is the most easy thing that goes on the eye, but in terms of pulling it off, for actors, comedy is the most difficult thing to do. It's like when they are sad or when they are angry or when they are doing intense kind of when they're expressing intense kind of emotions, it is pretty much evident. I mean, their effort is evident, right? But actors keep telling this like comedy is something that is very underrated, or comedy is something that is really hard to pull off. Like, if you deliver your dialogue just a split second late, like the joke won't land, right? And that is the entire purpose of comedy, right? The joke has to land. So yeah, I don't know a lot about acting, but based on based on the interviews I've seen and all, like comedy is something that is harder to pull off. So based on that, I think Deepika has done a terrific job. I think if there is a graph for the watch time of Chennai Express, there will be a huge spike in the scene where Shahrukh carries her to the top of the temple. That's like one of the most romantic scenes, and it started as a comedy thing, and there was a romantic angle into it when the BGM changes. The BGM shift in that scene is one of the most beautiful BGM shifts I've seen in Bollywood. And from there, it ends on an emotional note where she kind of looks at Shah Rukh and sees, okay, this is what this person can do for
Yeah.
me. It's like it starts with Shah Rukh telling that, I can do anything. This doesn't even matter. And then he realizes that, it's really a huge way to the top. And midway, both of them know, I think it's going to be tough, but Shah Rukh never gave up. And Deepika was having fun, like for the 80%, 90% of the time where he was carrying her. She was just having fun. She's not even expecting him to take him all the way to the top, right? And then when she actually sees what do you call that temple's pillar? In Telugu, it's called Gopuram. I don't know what's it called in English or Hindi. So
You mean
it's
the
like,
tip of the temple?
not the tip. For every temple, there is a pillar kind of stuff.
Ah, okay, okay.
Especially South Indian temples. I haven't visited a lot of North Indian temples, but from what I know, like the term for that pillar in Telugu is called Gopuram. For every temple, there has to be a Gopuram. So it's like some, I don't know, some mythological stories and all that stuff related to it. So what happens is Deepika sees that pillar, and that is like the tallest part of the temple. So she get to see that first, and that is when she realizes that okay, he's come this far, and then entire themes changes from comedy to this realization hitting that he's actually done it, to the scene where she didn't wear her bindi, and priest asks that why didn't you didn't you wear your bindi, and it's like not considered a ritual, is not considered a ritual without its bindi. And Shahrukh was so upset that I've done so much hard work and it's not paid off at all. And then someone from the background says that you can put it now. and that is also one more scene, because again, that was very Tamil Nadu culture, or that was very South Indian culture, where people, it's like husband keeping in the uh, like, I think it's more or less like only husband can do that kind of stuff. I don't know what's the entire narrative behind it, but again, the BGM was beautiful at that time. Are there any your favorite films that you can talk about, some good moments from those films?
Since we have already talked for quite a while, I think I'll just sort of try to sum it up by
Right.
taking one different aspects about your personality, sort of try to connect it to Deepika. So you like to notice the details, and you like to think with a lot of depth. So
Right.
I'll take those two aspects, and
Hmm.
I'll mention one of my favorite dialogues of Deepika, which is from Ye Jawani Hai Diwani, where she says,
Right.
"जहाँ है उसी पल का मजा लेते हैं." I love that. I love
Yeah.
that philosophical outlook towards life.
I
So
like I love that scene where Bunny and Naina go face off, where Bunny keeps on, like, Bunny gives a one liner from his perspective, and Naina gives a one liner from her perspective, right? That was really cool. Like, nobody's right or wrong over there, but like they were like having their own little cute battle, which was like really good.
yeah, I think they sum it up by saying कि तुम मेरे से गलत नहीं हो बस अलग हो, something like that. I think the
Yeah,
dialogue
yeah,
is, and I think
yeah.
that's very important in any sort of relationship, be it romantic, friends, or family, to have
Right,
that respect and that space to entertain different perspectives.
right.
But yeah, all right. Before we shoot off onto another tangent, I think we've covered a lot of ground here. I think this is a good note to end it at. Thank you so much for
Sure.
your time. Thank you so
Yeah.
much for sharing everything with so much honesty. I love
Mhm.
that. I hope all the listeners will love it as well. I hope Deepika
Definitely.
likes this episode when she hopefully hears it one day.
I hope so. I just hope the listeners love it. I just hope when it reaches Deepika, Deepika loves it. And yeah, Deepika, if you're listening, I love you. And yeah, thank you for just being yourself.
All right. Thank you so much, Vikra. We'll catch up soon. Bye bye.
Sure. Bye.
Hey everyone. Just a small note or a reminder regarding what this podcast is all about. My wife's name is Adishri. Everyone calls her Adi. She's a big fan of Deepika Padukone, and I wish to gift her an interaction with Deepika on her birthday. I wish to give that birthday gift to her. Her birthday is on 31st July, so that's why the podcast is called 31st July with Deepika. So, through this podcast, I hope I can do many more episodes, and hopefully, the podcast gets traction and it reaches to somebody in Deepika's team, or it reaches to Deepika, and she sees the love and effort that has gone behind this, and I hope she likes it and she agrees to do an interaction. It can be probably the last episode of this podcast where she comes on as a guest, or she can allow us to fly down where she is and Adi can get to meet her on 31st July. I think that would be a lovely gift for Adi. So yeah, for this to happen, the podcast, I guess, needs to go viral, and for that to happen, I think a lot of people need to share it. So please share it with the people around you. Please share it with other fans of Deepika that you know. Please share it with people who would love romantic gestures like this one. And yeah, for the podcast to get big, I need to do more episodes. So if you know any fans of Deepika Padukone who would like to come on this show and to talk about themselves, talk about Deepika, please, please, please help them get in touch with me. The best place, I guess, would be Instagram, very accessible. You can find me on Instagram with the handle Geek Who Works Out. That's GEEKWHOWORKSOUT. And my name is Abhishek Giramkar. So, whichever thing helps you to find me easily, please go for it. Uh, and yeah, that's about it. Thanks once again for listening. Take care, all of you, and I'll catch you in the next episode. Bye bye.